Tonight, life-saving equipment donated to the San Antonio Fire Department thanks in part to one woman's survival story. Healthcare is emerging as a huge issue in the 2020 presidential campaign. We'll break down some of the reform measures the candidates are debating. And San Antonio maintaining its bond ratings from 3 major credit agencies. Thanks for joining us for KSAT News at 9, streaming live from right here in the KSAT 12 newsroom. I'm Myra Arthur. Right now, the second round of Democratic presidential candidates are on stage for a second debate tonight. Among those debating, former Vice President Joe Biden, California Senator Kamala Harris, and former Mayor of San Antonio, Julian Castro. Many of the topics brought up tonight were those discussed last night during the first round of the debates. Those topics include immigration, race relations, and health care. We will have highlights of this debate tonight at 10 on the Night Beat, but coming up a little bit later in newscast on the News at 9, we'll talk about the health care reform ideas that the Democratic candidates are proposing. More EMS units will be carrying equipment that make whole blood transfusions possible at trauma scenes. The company that makes this device inspired to donate one more kit to the San Antonio Fire Department. That's after they saw the story of the first woman saved by whole blood right here on KSAT. Sarah Acosta tells us how that survivor is doing now and how many more lives the whole blood program has potentially saved since its launch.
I feel amazing today.
Tiffany Kishnik-Rivas should be dead. In January, she suffered a stroke while driving and crashed her car. She was the first person in San Antonio to be saved by the San Antonio Fire Department's whole blood transfusion equipment that went into EMS units in October.
About 99% of victims in a situation like that where they have a traumatic arrest, they are not going to be able to be resuscitated.
After 3 surgeries, she says she has never felt better and has a new outlook on life. She is making it her mission to tell her story about how the whole blood transfusion equipment saved her life.
I mean, that this is my way of giving back, and I save for a reason, and so I enjoy talking about it and letting people know.
She is now one of many. Since the program launched in October, whole blood has been given 156 times. The fire department says they are not 100% certain if every single one of those patients would have died without it, but says many lives have been saved.
We'd love to say that we've saved all 156. I think that the positives are undeniable.
When the program started, there were 6 units across the city carrying the equipment that makes the transfusions possible, a cooler and a blood warming device. It cost $5,500 to carry the equipment per EMS unit. Now there are 8 SAFD units carrying the equipment, thanks to 2 donors, Tiffany's father and QuinFlow, a company that makes the blood warming devices. The company invented the device in 2014. They say thousands of lives have been saved by it. But when they saw Tiffany's story right here on KSAT, it was the first that they were able to make a connection with.
Tiffany was the first time that we could attach a name, a face, and an amazing rescue story to that case, to that patient. And that moved everybody in the company.
Chief Hood says since they launched the program, several other counties and cities have contacted SAFD about how the program works.
It's a game changer.
Just take a look at the different surrounding counties that are now carrying whole blood. He says more importantly, more lives will be saved. QuinFlow, the company that makes those warming devices, they are now challenging the community for one more donation. They say if one more set is donated, then they'll donate 10 more warming devices. Myra.
So, Sarah, the company is asking the community to put up the money to make one more of these devices possible. So how much does that cost to put this equipment in one EMS unit?
Okay, so it takes 2 things. A cooler, which costs $1,500, and then the warming device that costs $4,000. So per unit, it would cost $5,500. And if you're interested in donating, just contact the San Antonio Fire Department. Myra?
All right, let's hope our community steps up. Thanks, Sarah. The blood used for the San Antonio Fire Department whole blood transfusions comes from a group called Brothers in Arms. It's a project with the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center that has led to a stable and easily replenished blood supply so the fire department can carry whole blood regularly. And they're looking for more members in the community to take part. You must have type O positive blood and be male. Men tend to have lower levels of antibodies in their blood than women, which helps prevent reactions in patients who receive the emergency transfusions. If you're interested in donating, you can call the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center. Here's that number, 210-731-5590. A financial report card of sorts for the city of San Antonio is out, and it maintained its credit rating from all three major credit rating agencies. That's despite facing some recent financial challenges. San Antonio received a AAA rating from Standard & Poor's and Moody's for the 10th year in a row. Fitch reaffirmed the city's AA+ bond rating. City Manager Eric Walsh says San Antonio's bond ratings allow the city to borrow at the lowest possible interest rates, which the city says ends up saving taxpayers millions each year.
Just as if you were going to go buy a house, if you've got a high credit score, you're more than likely going to qualify for a lower interest rate in your mortgage, so you end up saving money. It's the same concept here for municipalities.
Walsh says the city has faced some financial challenges recently. He talked about SB 2, a state law designed to limit the amount of revenue cities and counties bring in from property taxes. Then last year, Fitch downgraded San Antonio's bond rating from AAA to AA+, citing the passage of Proposition C in November. That voter-approved amendment to the city's charter allows the San Antonio Fire Union to call for binding arbitration in all issues on which the union and the city disagree. Now let's turn to the 9 at 9 tonight. These are some of the biggest stories making headlines around the world, around the country, and right here at home. An explosion today at an ExxonMobil plant near Houston. An Oklahoma woman refuses to sign a traffic ticket and ends up getting arrested on much more serious charges. And a creative graduation cap is mistaken for a bomb. Here's tonight's 9 at 9. 37 people hurt in a fire at an ExxonMobil oil refinery in Baytown near Houston. No one had to be hospitalized. An order to shelter in place was issued for people living in the area, but it has since been lifted. The city of Baytown says air monitoring did not detect any levels of concern. The fire began after an explosion, but we still don't know what caused that blast. A fugitive wanted for murder shot and killed on the west side of San Antonio. According to a U.S. Marshal, this happened as the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force tried to take that man into custody. Investigators say he pulled out a gun as members of the task force approached him in a parking lot. Investigators fired back, killing the man. An Oklahoma traffic stop quickly escalates after a 65-year-old woman refuses to sign a ticket for a broken taillight. Body camera video shows that woman refusing to get out of her car when asked. The officer tells the woman she's under arrest. She still pushes back.
Step out. You are full of because you're not under no damn arrest.
Then the woman takes off. After a short chase, she pulls over and the officer pulls out his gun. He pulls the woman out of her truck and onto the ground. That's when she kicks the officer in the groin. Then the officer tases the woman. He's finally able to arrest her. That woman is now facing charges for felony assault on a police officer and resisting arrest. The Italian Red Cross has sent a plane containing more than 34 tons of aid to Venezuela. That aid consists of medicine and medical supplies worth more than $3 million. The Italian Red Cross estimates that the shipment could help up to 650,000 people over the next year. An Eastside San Antonio store clerk shot twice during an overnight robbery attempt. It happened at the DMJ grocery store on North New Braunfels Avenue. Police say two men wearing masks tried to rob the store. At some point, one of the men shot the clerk. He was taken to a hospital. Then the men left without taking anything. An Iowa river rescue caught on camera. Police released this video of officers trying to save two people trapped in the Des Moines River. According to officers, an inflatable raft capsized, tossing the pair into the water and over a turbulent dam. Luckily, people fishing in the area noticed what was happening and called emergency crews. Both victims were pulled to safety and they're doing okay. Here at home, police say a homeowner shot a would-be burglar during an attempted break-in on the city's southwest side. That homeowner told officers that he woke up this morning to someone trying to get into his house. He grabbed his gun to confront that person and fired a shot through the window. The suspect was shot in the thigh. He's expected to be okay. It doesn't appear the homeowner will be facing any charges. A Florida man's decorated graduation cap mistaken for a bomb. The Florida International University engineering major decorated his cap with a mini computer programmed to spell out FIU 2019. But when he walked up to the convocation center, campus police were alarmed.
He tells me to put her on the floor, and slowly back away from it.
It didn't take long for police to figure it all out, and it didn't delay the ceremony. The graduate was able to walk the stage wearing a replacement cap. A 3-year-old in China survives a 6-story fall from a high-rise building. Video shows the boy clinging to the apartment balcony. Quick-thinking neighbors below get a large blanket, hoping to break his fall. When the boy finally loses his grip, he falls into that blanket. Remarkably, he was not hurt. To read more about these 9 stories, go to ksat.com/news at 9. Meteorologist Katie Blake is with us tonight, and we finally did it today. There's part of me that's glad we just got it over with. We hit 100.
I know.
Now let's move on to the rest of summer.
If you really haven't been keeping track of like the high temperature every day, you'll probably be like, really? You sure? Because it's felt like it, yeah. Just a formality of sorts, but yes, our first triple-digit day of 2019 here in San Antonio. Our low temperature this morning 77 and up to the century mark this afternoon. That's only 3 degrees shy of the record high on this date set back in 2013. Our average high is right around 96. Many of us got into the triple digits today, off to the west and southwest. Many spots in the triple digits, 101 in Pleasanton, 106 the high in Cotulla. That was also the high in Laredo as well. Other parts of the country also hot, especially through the central part of the plains. 99 the high in Lubbock, 100 degrees in Wichita, and that's because the heat high is centered just off to our northwest here. So we've got a lot of sinking air here through the central and southern plains, and that's where temperatures have been maximizing quite hot. This heat high is going to move around just a bit as we head into the weekend, and it could move far enough west that we could squeeze out a couple of showers by Sunday. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes. But getting you ready for the day tomorrow, 77 in the morning, up to the upper 90s in the afternoon with the heat index 100 to 105 during the heat of the day. East-southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. So we'll talk about that hopeful but small chance of rain for the weekend coming up in a few minutes. Myra?
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks, Katie. The mayor of Cibolo now facing legal trouble over the same decades-old drug charge that could force him out of office. Mayor Stan Stosh Boyle was arrested Friday for tampering with a governmental record. The Texas Attorney General's office says that in signing his application to get on the 2017 ballot, Boyle swore that he had not been convicted of a felony for which he had not been pardoned or had his full rights of citizenship restored by some other official action. However, federal court records show that he pleaded guilty in 1998 to conspiracy to possess with the intent to distribute ecstasy. And investigators did not find any record of a pardon. That felony charge is the same reason Cibolo City Council members will hold a hearing on August 20th to determine if Boyle has forfeited his office and needs to be removed. A lot more ahead on KSAT News at 9 tonight, including the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates for the first time in more than a decade. Plus, healthcare has been one of the most hotly contested issues for years now. And now it's taking center stage in the 2020 campaign for president. We'll talk about some of the proposed reform measures being discussed. Those stories and more after the break.
Weeknights, streaming live, KSAT News at 9, Cutting Edge, live from the newsroom.
I'm Myra Arthur.
A new kind of KSAT.
Now let's turn to the 9 at 9 tonight.
The day's most interesting stories in just 3 minutes. Expect information you can put into action. Money, it's personal. Adulting hacks. What's trending online? We're talking about it. And expect some spree thoughts.
A curiosity that sometimes gets me in trouble, Myra.
KSAT News at 9 on your KSAT app.
Bank for a cause today with a mortgage checking account from Broadway Bank. Together, we are making a difference.
Have you been noticing dragging doors in your home, cracks in your walls, or cracks in your floor tiles? This could be signs your foundation is sinking. Call the company you can trust, Baird Foundation Repair. Their certified specialists will design a plan to bring your home back into good shape, all backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. Let Baird help you restore value to your most important investment. Call Baird Foundation Repair today. Doing things right the first time, a family tradition.
We are more than a year out from the presidential election, but already debates are heating up on a handful of issues. One of the top issues Democrats are focusing on right now, health care. Some of the most heated exchanges during last night's debate was over the health care reform idea. Joining us now to break down this debate, Washington Post health policy reporter Yasmin Abu-Taleb. Yasmin, thanks for being with us. First of all, a big part of the argument last night centered around a push on behalf of some of the more liberal candidates for a Medicare for all system. What kind of system would that look like?
So if we're talking about the more liberal candidates, then we're talking about a system where everyone in the U.S. would be on Medicare. So everyone in the U.S. would be on a government-run program. If we're talking about some of the more moderate plans, then we're still talking about a role for private insurance.
There was also a public option. So explain what that looks like and how would that differentiate from a Medicare for all system?
So the public option plan would essentially allow Americans to buy into Medicare if that's what they want. But if someone likes their employer plan or Obamacare plan or another form of health insurance that they have, they would be able to keep that.
And you mentioned Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. Is there any indication if any of these plans were actually to be put in place, how they would affect the Affordable Care Act?
If we had one of the more progressive Medicare for all plans where the candidates talk about upending the whole healthcare system and getting rid of private insurance, that would mean also getting rid of Obamacare, where there's very much a role for private insurance. So this would be implementing an entirely new health insurance system. If we're talking about candidates' plans where they talk about having a public option, you would still have Obamacare, but you'd be expanding on the gains made under that law.
So what's the argument behind a Medicare for all system? Why do those who support it say that this is a good idea?
So the progressive candidates, and there are obviously more moderate candidates who support some form of this as well, say that U.S. healthcare costs are far too high, and there needs to be a larger role for the government to negotiate prices with hospitals for what they pay for hospital services, with drug companies to decide what we should be paying for prescription drugs.
And now, are there some within the Democratic candidates who are saying if we propose the idea of getting rid of private insurance altogether, this could be a real detriment to Democrats taking the White House in 2020?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you saw that play out in the debate last night. These more moderate candidates attacking Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren for wanting to get rid of private insurance altogether, saying that that would be enormously disruptive to the healthcare system, and that the majority of Americans, which is 170, 180 million people, who have a private insurance plan through an employer, like their plan and don't want to get rid of it. And so the argument was we shouldn't be taking away something that many Americans actually like. We should be looking to expand insurance to people who are uninsured or underinsured in different ways, but preserve the option of letting people buy private insurance if they like it.
All right, Yasmin Abu-Taleb from the Washington Post, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
A defender's update tonight about the 19-year-old inmate who attempted suicide at the Bexar County Jail over the weekend. The sheriff's office confirming that the woman had previously been hospitalized during her 22-day stay at the jail after drinking a liquid cleaning solution. She was returned to the general population at the jail after being evaluated and then released from a hospital. Then on Saturday, she was found hanging from a bed sheet in her cell. Earlier this week, we told you that an incident report states that she threatened to kill herself when she was initially arrested on July 6th. She was taken into custody for allegedly making a terroristic threat at her aunt's home where she had been staying. And last check, the woman remains on life support tonight. Let's turn now to some of the biggest stories people are talking about tonight. The Department of Health and Human Services releasing a new plan that lets Americans import cheaper drug prescriptions from Canada under certain circumstances. The plan offers two possible pathways. The first scenario would allow state governments, pharmacies, and drug manufacturers to come up with proposals for safe importation and then submit those to the government for approval. The second would allow manufacturers to import lower cost versions of the drugs that they sell in foreign countries. The drug industry lobby has pushed back against this proposal, calling the plan dangerous. For the first time since the 2008 financial crisis, the Federal Reserve has lowered interest rates. Policymakers voted 8-2 in favor of a small cut in the federal funds rate. Interest rates, which affect the cost of borrowing for credit cards and mortgages, are now set to hover between 2% and 2.25%.
Katie Blake back with us tonight. We talked about how we hit 100 today. I'm no meteorologist, but my amateur guess is we're probably not done with that for the summer.
I don't think so. I think we're going to see temperatures take a little dip as we head into the weekend. That heat high will move a little bit, and so that'll shave off a few degrees, but it looks like next week it builds right back in, so that'll put us back into maybe some triple digits next week. So no, not done just yet. Did you notice the sky looked a little bit hazy at times today? Well, we did have a little batch of that African or Saharan dust with us, and it may have given the sky a hazy look at times and also makes things a touch more colorful around sunset. I think you may notice that haze a little bit more tomorrow as well, as some of this dust continues to linger in the air, but this is going to really start to clear up by tomorrow and then into Friday, and this weekend shouldn't have any issues with that Saharan dust in and around South Texas. It can be a little bit irritating, especially if you're very sensitive to stuff with your respiratory system, and it can even irritate the eyes. Those very, very fine particulates there. Not a big surprise that we have a batch of that dust moving in. We do see this during the summer months and also during hurricane season. An update on what's going on in the tropics. We've got 2 disturbances where you see these X's. Those are disturbances that the National Hurricane Center is watching. Disturbance 1, very low odds of development even through 5 days, only 10%. This could graze kind of the east coast of Florida, bring some rain there, also to parts of the Bahamas. But it's disturbance 2 that has much higher odds of development or formation through 5 days, 70% chance. But even through 5 days, it's not even going to be in the Caribbean just yet. So we have a long time to watch that one, but of course we'll keep you updated. Back closer to home, I mentioned the heat high is going to move away just a little bit as we head into the weekend. That'll help to drop our temperatures like a couple of degrees and could also open the door for some stray thunder showers by the end of the weekend. These rain chances unfortunately are not impressive, but at least by Sunday and into Monday, a few lucky yards could see a stray shower or thunderstorm. Otherwise, things are pretty dry. Hopefully we can get a better pattern going that's more conducive to rain, because it is time to get some rain going.
Yeah, we've really been lucky so far this summer. Yeah. But now we're getting into the thick of things.
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Katie.
You're welcome.
Well, if you haven't done it yet, there is still time for you to vote in our Heavy Metal Madness bracket on KSAT.com. Now, this is all the brainchild of my 6 o'clock co-anchor Steve Spriester and his Spree Thoughts. During a recent Spree Thoughts segment on the cancellation of the River City Rock Fest, Spriester reconfirmed what he already knew to be true about San Antonio. A lot of people here love their heavy metal. So we want to know, who is your favorite heavy metal act? Right now on our website, we have put bands head to head, and we want you to vote for who moves on to the next round. You can vote right now by going to ksat.com/news@9. You have until Friday at noon to vote in this round. We'll share the results with you Friday at 9. Let's go to KSAT.com right now to find out what's trending tonight with Ivan Herrera.
Myra, thank you for having me. All right, 3 trending stories for you today. First up, so this Serbian lake is becoming an Instagram hit, and it's in the town of, I'm gonna have to look at my notes to pronounce this one, so it's Novosibirsk.
Okay.
And it's becoming an Instagram hit because of its stunning color. It's a beautiful turquoise lake. The problem here is that it's not actually a lake. It's actually a man-made toxic ash dump from a nearby power plant. So the company is actually warning people on a Russian social media site, basically telling them not to swim in this man-made toxic dump because it has a high alkaline environment.
And I have seen people still are, though. They're taking Instagram photos on paddle boards, and it looks
beautiful, but
it's
stay away. The company also said that if you come into contact with the water, you can develop an allergic reaction. So just, if you're gonna go out there, just make sure you think twice about it.
All right, it's not worth the likes.
So more info about that on KSAT.com. All right, this next one is another sight to see.
Okay.
So a wildlife photographer who was whale watching, actually, he was in Monterey Bay, California. He caught a sea lion stuck on the nose of a humpback whale. So while he saw this, he obviously grabbed his camera, and the whale was actually stuck in, the sea lion was stuck in the whale's mouth. So he caught that moment. Everybody was like, this is a rare photo. The good thing is that the sea lion was able to escape. He was a little shaken up, but he was able to escape. If you see one, just maybe stay away.
So this is just a cool photo.
Yes. So you can read more about the story on KSAT.com and check out that photo. All right, this last one is something I love. It's being described as the eHarmony of dog matching. So How I Met Your Dog is what it's called. It features dogs from shelters, rescue dogs, and those dogs that need to be rehomed by private families. And the app gives users like a 20-minute survey, asks them about their parenting style, asks them about how they're gonna train their dog and what they're gonna have, be doing with their dog.
I love this.
It's very much like an eHarmony.
Can you just look at San Antonio dogs if you want to?
Yes.
Okay.
And it filters out a lot of different things, and you can set your specifications to a lot of these things. So it's very much personalized. They want you to get the right pet.
Okay.
So.
Do we know if any shelters here are using this yet?
I haven't checked that, but definitely we'll check it out soon because I'm looking for another new furry friend.
Oh, well, I hope you find your match.
So you can check out more about that app on KSAT.com.
Okay.
Thank you for having me, Myra.
Thanks, Ivan. We'll be right back.
Aziz Oriental Rug & Porch would like to thank San Antonio for 30 years of business. And now, it's time to retire, and that means we are having the biggest sale in our store's history. We are taking up to 80% off everything in our store. Every style, color, shape, and size. After traveling all over the world, we have developed a remarkable and elegant collection of traditional and contemporary style Oriental rugs. Don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime deal. Visit our showroom today while inventory lasts at 2102 North Loop, 1604 West.
Attention homeowners, if your AC system is over 5 years old, please stand by for a very important message.
Are you uncomfortable in your home? Do you have high utility bills? Have you had costly AC repairs? It's because your system hasn't been professionally maintained. Call John Wayne for the ultimate AC tune-up. We'll clean the outdoor coil, flush the drain line, check refrigerant levels, and include the first pound of Freon. A $400 value, all for only $149. Get our ultimate AC tune-up, and I guarantee your system won't fail this summer. Call John Wayne today at 293-6700.
Courage, integrity, justice. These values are Texas heritage. Javier Villarreal and Alexander Begum have been defending the people of Texas with honor at every one of life's turns. If you've been hurt, you need the Texas Law Guns to defend you and your loved ones. Voted best personal injury lawyers in San Antonio, Javier Villarreal and Alexander Begum are the Texas Law Guns. Defenders of the people, fighting for justice.
Kickapoo Lucky Eagle Casino Hotel.
It's only a short drive from home.
Over 3,300 slots, poker, and live bingo.
I come for the drinks. It's a great place to celebrate. Come and play.
That is all our time here on the News at 9. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Have a good night.